I know I'm killing myself, and I'm helping kill the woman I love.
My sister. I love you, Candy.
I just hate my body, and I know I'm not supposed to be this way.
We had gotten a huge fight because he didn't want to change. And if he doesn't lose the weight, I'm done.
Michael Dominguez's journey is filled with twists and turns, heartbreak, and hope. Michael's struggle with weight began in childhood. Growing up in a tumultuous household full of anger and strict rules, food became his solace. It's easy to judge from afar, but imagine being a child and finding comfort only in what you eat. As a kid, he was chubby, but not overly so. However, as the years went by, his eating habits spiraled out of control. With an increasing reliance on junk food, Michael's weight soared. By reaching adulthood, he was tipping the scales at over 630 lbs. It's a cycle that's incredibly hard to break, especially without the right support.
Growing up, there was a lot of anger in our house because my dad was strict and everything had to be a certain way or he would be mad. He had rules for everything, including food. And I was just afraid of him being mad at me. I wanted to take all my fear and just eat.
Michael's family situation was another significant factor in his weight gain. His relationships were strained, and he felt isolated. His wife, Ronnie, decided she would not only support her husband, but also try to lose weight alongside him. The married couple had some rough patches on screen, and fans wondered how their relationship would change since the show. They have 2 grown kids who were stuck doing a lot of tasks that Michael and Ronnie, him especially, could not, given his poor health. This started to strain their marriage as Ronnie and the kids had to pick up the slack, and Michael's temper sometimes got the best of him. It's heart-wrenching to think about how loneliness can drive someone deeper into unhealthy habits.
When I met Ronnie, she had 2 kids, Brandy and Daniel, which are my kids now. And I'm honored to be called their dad.
But they didn't know they were going to become my caregivers.
My dad has a problem with food. Every day, all day, he sits there and eats nothing but chocolate, cookies, and it just frustrates me knowing that.
The turning point in Michael's story came when the family moved from Arizona to Houston, Texas to seek help from Dr. Now. If you've watched the show, you know Dr. Now is a no-nonsense kind of guy. Dr. Now outlined the gravity of his situation bluntly. Michael had to change his lifestyle immediately, or he wouldn't live to see his kids grow up. Dr. Now's approach might seem harsh, but it's rooted in the harsh reality of morbid obesity. He put Michael on a strict diet plan, cutting out all the junk food and focusing on high-protein, low-carb meals. It's tough love at its finest.
That's how big my stomach gets, and I'm not full, I guess. When I sit down and eat a meal, and especially if something I want, if something I like, I'm gonna keep eating it until I'm full.
So how do you think we can change that if you eat however much you want?
Well, I think the surgery would help me.
So you think that surgery is just going to magically fix your eating problem for you?
Michael's journey wasn't smooth. The first few weeks were brutal as he struggled to stick to the diet. His second visit to Dr. Now was a mixed bag. He had lost some weight, but not as much as Dr. Now had hoped. It was clear that old habits die hard. Dr. Now reminded Michael that surgery wasn't a magic solution. It was a tool, and without commitment, it would be useless.
The whole family is still trying to get adjusted to Houston and settle into our new place that we have. I really don't like it, but we're not here for vacation. We're just trying to get the help that I need. And I've been working to stay on the diet, but I know I haven't been as active as I should because my knees have been hurting. I wish I could do a little bit more, but little by little, we'll get to that point soon.
Finally, he showed better results. He had lost more weight and was closer to the goal required for surgery. The progress was slow, but steady. It's important to remember that losing weight, especially a significant amount, is a marathon, not a sprint. Every pound lost was a victory, and every slip-up was a lesson. Eventually, Michael reached the weight loss goal required for surgery. Dr. Now performed a gastric bypass, and the surgery was a success. By the end of the episode, Michael had lost over 300 lbs. He was healthier, more mobile, and, most importantly, more hopeful about the future.
100 pounds overall, but just 84 pounds in this past couple months. It's not as much as I wanted you to lose, but 84 pounds still show me a good amount of progress. So I'm approving you for weight loss surgery. The first month, Michael had me wondering if he was going to get his act together, but I think he's made it to a good place. 84 pounds is enough to show me that he's making the changes he needs and he's sticking to the diet now.
Ronnie also showed off a much slimmer version of herself, having lost significant weight alongside Michael. Their relationship, which had its rough patches, emerged stronger. The friction on the show left some fans wondering whether they would even stay married once their weight loss journeys were over. However, Michael and Ronnie, who married in 2010, are still happily married. Based on their Facebook posts, they are more mobile now and seem happier than ever.
And keep doing what I should be doing.
Okay.
I really love you. And I really appreciate you for everything that you've done. And I put you through this whole year.
And still putting me through?
I'm still putting you through it. And giving you a headache every day.
Tell me more.
I really love you.
I love you too.
I just want to be able to keep succeeding and lose weight more every day. And be able to enjoy life with the kids and my wife.
Candy and Brandy's story began in Vancouver, Washington. Growing up, the twins were inseparable, sharing everything from toys to clothes. But they also shared something more concerning, a struggle with weight. As children, they were teased and bullied, which led them to find solace in food. Their eating habits spiraled out of control, and by the time they were teenagers, they were already significantly overweight. Unfortunately, they didn't have a good support system. The twins often said they only had each other and food to get through their trauma.
But if I'd have known the severity of it, they'd have been with me immediately.
Growing up, the best times in our life were going to see our grandma and grandpa every summer. To be with our grandparents, it was safe, it was secure, it was perfect. But at home, our mom was a scary drunk. She would black out to where she doesn't remember anything.
Now, we all know how life can throw curveballs. For Candy and Brandy, it was a mix of genetics, emotional eating, and a lack of a healthy support system. Their family loved them dearly, but they didn't have the tools or knowledge to help the twins manage their weight. Family gatherings and celebrations often revolved around food, making it even harder for Candy and Brandy to break the cycle.
Started saying she was gonna blow her brains out, and so she starts going in the room and Candy has to physically stop her. Having to, physically hold your mother down from going to get a gun is not something any child should have to do. But when we called the police, my mom decided to kick us out.
As fast forward to their adulthood, the twins' weight had become a serious health issue. At 29 years old, Brandy weighed 587 pounds and Candy weighed 604 pounds. They were each over 600 pounds and struggling with mobility. They knew they needed help, and that's when they decided to visit Dr. Nowzaradan, or as we all lovingly call him, Dr. Now.
Does a salad have calories? So 25 calories for this whole day. It's been a lot to learn, and it's hard to stick to it completely. Just a little extra cheese there, please. Kind of like cheese. I'm kind of a cheese person. Yeah, but we can't have a lot. I know that. It's really easy to go over the total amount of calories we're supposed to eat in a day.
Their first meeting with Dr. Now was a reality check. The twins were nervous, but determined. With his no-nonsense attitude, Dr. Now laid it all out for them. He explained that their weight was not just a physical issue, but also a psychological one. His advice was clear. They needed to change their diet drastically, incorporate exercise, and attend therapy to address their emotional eating. Imagine facing a doctor who's about to turn your world upside down and still having the strength to say, "Let's do this." That's bravery, folks.
Candy and Brandy, they both did very well this past month. Right now, my concern is that their heart may not be strong enough to survive the procedure. But I won't know till I ran some tests. So we'll set you up for your test tomorrow. If everything looks good, I'm going to approve both of you for surgery. All right, I'll see y'all later.
Dr. Now put them on a strict 1-200 calorie diet. No more junk food, no more binge eating sessions. It was all about lean proteins, vegetables, and portion control. Their progress was slow, but steady. By their second visit, both Candy and Brandy had lost a significant amount of weight, but it was clear that they were struggling to commit to the lifestyle change fully. Old habits die hard, and it was a daily battle for these sisters. I mean, who can't relate to that? How many times have we promised ourselves to stick to a diet, only to be swayed by a delicious slice of pizza? The struggle is real, my friends.
It would be devastating if I lost my sister.
Everything looks good so far. We removed a portion of Candy's stomach now. That would reduce her appetite and make it very difficult for her to overeat. So all we need to do now is to suture her and she'll be done. All right, all finished.
Despite the challenges, Candy and Brandy showed Dr. Now they were willing to work hard to lose weight. Many contestants of the hit reality TV series struggle with the weight loss necessary to receive bariatric surgery, and establishing healthier habits is also incredibly difficult when dealing with food addiction. However, Candy and Brandy were able to beat the odds. The Vancouver, Washington natives were able to lift each other up, and their progress has been astonishing.
She stopped breathing, so we got her stable and put her in medically induced coma so her body can recover without any added stress. We'll work to make sure that she will recover as much as possible.
I need my sister to pull through this.
She promised she wouldn't leave me.
We're supposed to always be together. I can't do this without her.
By the end of the episode, Candy had lost around 200 pounds and Brandy wasn't far behind. It was a monumental achievement, but more importantly, it was the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. They had a long way to go, but they had proven to themselves and everyone watching that they could do it. I think Candy and Brandy's story teaches us a valuable lesson. It's about the importance of perseverance, the power of support, and the need to face our demons head on.
It's something that resonates with both of you. It's something you've kind of had to deal with most of your life.
We've had things happen when we were kids that shouldn't have happened. And
Seems like you're very close, that you found safety with each other. What about Mom?
she's a alcoholic.
So Mom really wasn't able to protect you or be what you needed because of her own issues.
Mm.
So how do you think Mom's choices around her drinking impact you now as adults?
Trust, for sure. She's the one person that you should be able to trust with everything.
Reena Kaiser's story is a roller coaster of emotions, struggles, and triumphs that you won't want to miss. Reena's battle with weight began in her childhood, and it's a tale as old as time for many of us. Emotional and psychological challenges plagued her early years, leading her to seek solace in food. Food became her go-to for comfort, creating a vicious cycle that felt impossible to break. Can you imagine using food as a coping mechanism and then watching it turn into your biggest enemy? That's Reena's story, which many can relate to.
Forcing myself to start each day is just miserable. Because I've gotten so big, my body feels like I'm in a prison. I'm just trapped.
It's torture every day. And
my body is so bad now that I'm even having trouble breathing.
Speaking of family, let's discuss how her support system influenced her journey. It's a common dilemma, wanting to help but not knowing how. Many of us have faced this when trying to support loved ones. The line between encouragement and enabling unhealthy habits is razor thin. It's a delicate dance. Sometimes, despite the best intentions, it doesn't go as planned. And this is where Lee Sutton comes into the picture, adding another layer to Reena's complex story.
I just feel bad because I know she's in pain and it's hard for her.
When Reena met Lee at a bariatric rehabilitation center, her life took a significant turn. Their bond grew quickly, evolving into a romantic relationship. But here's the kicker. The rehab center didn't allow romantic relationships between residents. Faced with a tough choice, Reena and Lee decided to leave the center, unfortunately allowing their weight gain to spiral out of control once again. Imagine having to choose between love and health. It's a scenario straight out of a dramatic movie, isn't it? And their decision led them to seek help from Dr. Now in Houston.
Lee, he was a sweet guy, and we started spending a lot of time together. And then we were an item at the clinic. But that broke the rules there, so we either had to stop dating or leave.
They would get onto us for holding hands. They would get onto us for showing any kind of emotion or attention to each other. So we just decided we wanted to be together. We wanted a relationship.
We loved each other, and we've stayed together over the past 11 years since leaving the clinic.
At their first meeting with Dr. Now, Reena and Lee were a bundle of hope and fear. He laid out a strict diet and light physical activities to kickstart their weight loss journey. His approach wasn't just about shedding pounds. It was about addressing the emotional and mental battles that came with their eating habits. That's what sets Dr. Now apart. He gets that weight loss is more than a physical challenge. You have to fight it on all fronts. And that's exactly what Reena did, even when Lee struggled to keep up.
It was hard to hear everything Dr. Now had to say about how close to death we are and how bad our situation really is. And I don't know what's worse, to die too early or to lose Lee first.
If we don't do this, we ain't got a chance in hell. So it's not really a choice. So we have to fight, and we have to fight together.
Ultimately, Reena had reached a significant milestone. She had lost enough weight to consider surgery, marking a pivotal moment in her journey. Imagine the relief and excitement she must have felt. The surgery was a success, and Reena's post-operation progress was nothing short of remarkable. From 549 pounds to 278 pounds, her weight loss journey was awe-inspiring. But it wasn't just about the numbers on the scale. Reena's transformation was deeply emotional and mental as well.
It meant very much to me for Lee to be able to go do it himself. It meant a lot.
I've been really encouraged by these last couple of months because I feel like we're working together instead of against each other. So I'm really thankful for how things are right now and for how hard Lee has been trying to improve himself.
When Lucas Higdon first rolled onto our screens, it was clear we were in for quite the ride. This Texas native was 33 years old when he debuted on the hit TLC show in December 2021, weighing in at over 619 pounds. Born in a small town, Lucas grew up in a modest household with a family that loved food almost as much as they loved each other. Food became more than just sustenance. It was a way of life, a comfort, a celebration, and sometimes a crutch.
At the size that I'm at now, I can still get around, but it's difficult. I feel pain in all parts of my body, and I'm exhausted all the time. My parents built an outdoor shower for me, but I can't get the water to go all over my body because I'm too big. So that doesn't work for me.
Lucas's weight gain story is one that many can relate to. A blend of emotional turmoil and the comfort of calorie-rich meals. He wasn't always a hefty guy. In fact, he was quite active during his school years, playing sports and hanging out with friends. But then, life threw some curveballs his way. Tragedy struck when his someone really dear to him passed away suddenly when Lucas was in his early 20s. This loss hit him hard, and food became his coping mechanism. Late-night binges, fast food runs, and a diet that could give a nutritionist nightmares were his new normal.
If you want to be playing football with us, you gotta lose the weight. And I was like, I have to do it.
I don't remember him overeating. When he played football, he was big. And so big the coach made him lose weight to play football. And he did that very successfully. He dropped 100 pounds. He had his mindset to play football. The doctor gave him a diet to stay on, and he done it. He done good. He was a go-getter.
His sister, however, was a beacon of support. She was the one who reached out to Dr. Now, knowing that if anyone could help Lucas, it was him. The first meeting with Dr. Now was a blend of brutal honesty and a glimmer of hope. Lucas walked into the office, or rather waddled, with a mix of fear and desperation in his eyes. Dr. Now laid it all out for Lucas. "You're eating yourself to death," he said bluntly. "If you don't change, you won't see your 40th birthday." Harsh. But sometimes the truth hurts. Dr. Now put Lucas on a strict 1-200 calorie diet and demanded he start moving. Anything to get his heart pumping and his body burning those stubborn pounds.
I was really nervous when he first came in. Dr. Now's somebody I don't want to disappoint. He's someone who's going to decide whether or not I'm going to get the surgery. I can definitely feel the aura around him, where he can definitely see him being like a coach figure. What he sounded like was how my coach sounded like. Hey, you need to lose this weight or you're not going to be able to play. And for him, it's like, hey, you need to lose this weight or you're not going to get the surgery. And it made me feel like, okay, then I'd definitely do it. I feel motivated, like I can do this.
Lucas's determination for change was sparked. The 33-year-old reality star embraced a low-calorie diet and began changing his lifestyle. His first follow-up with Dr. Now was a disaster. Lucas had barely lost any weight, and Dr. Now was not pleased. "You're not serious about this," he scolded. Lucas knew he had to buckle down. Within the first few months, he dropped over 80 pounds and finally qualified for bariatric surgery.
And I'm staying focused. I still have to continue losing weight, which is what I will be doing. I would still be focused on what I need to do. I'm not gonna go out and party. I'm not gonna go out and just pig out, anything like that. I'm gonna continue what I'm doing because this is what I need to do. And I come too far to turn back now. This first goal is just the first of many goals I want to reach. So even if it feels like I finally made it.
After qualifying for surgery, Lucas continued to progress. He started working out at a gym and found a computer-related job at a community college. By the time his final check-in rolled around, Lucas had lost over 218 pounds by the end of 12 months. Dr. Now gave him the green light for surgery, and it was like watching a caterpillar transform into a butterfly. Post-surgery, Lucas continued to lose weight and was motivated to continue his fitness journey.
Seems to be broken. And I think with the momentum he has now, he's gonna keep doing more and more to achieve all the goals he wants and stick to it for the long term, so he can live a healthy life where he's able to pursue his dreams and the things he wants. And I'm very proud of him for that. And I'm excited to see what he accomplishes going forward from here.
Now that I made it to this point, it's like the things that I had as goals, I'm ready to start doing them. It's time. It's time to start living the life I want.
It's very difficult to be this heavy, and it's getting worse.
If I don't get this fixed, I could potentially be bedbound.
I've barricaded myself inside of this emotional prison.
While some episodes have featured siblings or twins, Gino DeCunto and Nico Martone are the first pair of cousins to be featured on the show. And Gino's story is one of those where you can't help but wonder, what on earth were they thinking? Gino's journey began with an all too familiar backstory of emotional eating. Growing up, Gino faced numerous hardships, including bullying and a lack of emotional support. Instead of dealing with his feelings, he found solace in food. And boy, did he go all out. Imagine having pizza and ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. For Gino, it wasn't just comfort food, it was a lifestyle.
Overall, my back is the worst. Honestly, the most difficult thing about my day is probably taking a shower. Walking up the stairs feels like I'm carrying cement bags under me and I'm trying to lift them all up the stairs. Plus, I cannot fit into most spaces. So, taking a shower sucks at my size.
The tipping point for Gino came when his weight ballooned to a staggering 684 pounds. Realizing he was on a fast track to an early grave, Gino decided to seek help from the one and only DR. Now, for short. If you've ever watched the show, you know DR. Now doesn't sugarcoat anything. A perfect match for someone like Gino.
I'm gonna go down, you're not gonna make it, okay? All right, so I'm gonna get some booklet for you and give you all the instruction that you need to work on it, okay?
Yes.
All right, I'll be back.
Nice meeting you.
He's about the best you're gonna get.
60 pounds in a month.
If it's from this day on, then it's 2 pounds a day.
2 pounds a day, but listen, from the way you've been eating.
Their first meeting was nothing short of dramatic. Gino waddled into DR Now's office, huffing and puffing like he'd run a marathon, though it was just from the parking lot. Dr. Now, with his signature deadpan expression, asked Gino about his eating habits. Gino, in a surprising moment of honesty, admitted to his outrageous consumption of junk food. You could almost see Dr. Now's eyes widen, but just barely.
I'm very frustrating because he does have some mood swings because he's hungry, but the breathing, the moving is much better.
And grab a fork. Just cooperate with me. I don't want to argue. I really don't want to argue. Already going through enough of a life change, you know? I just want things to be smooth sailing. There's definitely negativity. We just don't get along well these days.
Dr. Now's advice was straightforward: lose 50 pounds in 1 month. Simple, right? For anyone else, maybe, but for Gino, it was like asking a cat to bark. Dr. Now handed him a strict diet plan, devoid of the greasy, sugary delights Gino cherished. No more pizza! No more ice cream! Dr. Now commanded, and Gino's face fell faster than a souffle in a thunderstorm.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Good. Awesome. Take a break.
See how strong the bench is. Hope it's strong enough. Oh, yeah. I was holding us both pretty nice.
Fast forward to the second visit, and Gino's progress was, you guessed it, pathetic. He had lost a meager 10 pounds. Dr. Now wasn't having it. He gave Gino a stern lecture, reminding him that this was his last chance to turn his life around. "Do you want to live or die?" Dr. Now asked bluntly. Gino, looking like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar, nodded earnestly, promising to do better. But promises, as we know, are easy to make.
First, our focus is on Houston. We're gonna do what we can to stay on track and find a spot to live. We've been looking for a place, but it's taking a little longer than we thought because we decided to go in and try to buy a house in Houston that we can flip after the year is up. So we're waiting to find the right place for us. And in the meantime, I'm planning to move out of my mom's place and in with Nico.
Gino's progress, or lack thereof, was a constant source of frustration. It's easy to judge from the coach, but let's be real, changing lifelong habits is hard. However, Gino's refusal to fully commit was maddening. Despite the slow progress, Gino's determination eventually paid off. Even though he ran into major issues while losing weight, he was finally approved for weight loss surgery. Gino lost 263 pounds during his episode, an incredible feat considering his earlier setbacks. So here's some unsolicited advice for anyone struggling like Gino. Take that first step, stick to your plan, and don't wait until it's too late.
Yes! That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, we're going to room 5.
All right, thank you.
That's even more than the goal. So, hopefully that means the doctor will be willing to operate on me.
Growing up in North Carolina, Serita's relationship with food turned toxic early on. Serita hit rock bottom at 31, tipping the scales at 603 pounds. Seeking salvation, she turned to the no-nonsense Dr. Now. Her daily menu? A heart-stopping parade of fast food, sugary drinks, and snacks. Essentially a caloric carnival. Picture starting your day with a breakfast that could feed a small village, then doubling down with a dinner that could challenge an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's baffling how such habits can become a daily routine. Ever feel like you're stuck in a binge-eating loop with no escape? Yep, Serita's been there too.
I'm scared to sleep, if I could be honest about it. I'm scared that I'm not gonna wake up because of my weight. I done had some health scares and I got doctors tell me I'm too big. So, yeah. Anybody down there help me? My weight, it scares me now.
Dr. Now handed Serita a strict diet plan. High protein, low carb foods, and a calorie limit that must have felt like a crash landing from her previous diet. The initial shock, understandable. It's like telling a coffee addict to switch to herbal tea overnight. Serita struggled, no doubt, but the stakes were her life. Her first weigh-in post-diet was underwhelming. She shed some pounds, but not enough. That look of disappointment, It's gut-wrenching, yet motivating. A stark reminder of the mountain she had to climb.
It was not bad. All veggies. It's been a couple weeks since we saw Dr. Now, and me and Lawrence have been working mostly on our diet. Now, today, we're gonna add some exercise into the mix. That was good. Here you go, grab my blanket and the volleyball.
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
My goal is to make the workouts fun.
Serita did lose some weight, but it was a slow crawl. Dr. Now gave her a daunting challenge. Lose another 25 pounds in a month after her initial 59-pound drop. Instead, she gained 9 pounds over 4 months. Ouch! This setback pushed her to seek therapy. Sometimes untangling emotional knots is just as crucial as physical transformation. Her therapist helped her strive for Dr. Now's next goal, 40 pounds in 2 months. Serita lost 29 pounds, a commendable effort, even if it fell short. Dr. Now, seeing her progress, dangled the surgery carrot. Keep going, and surgery's on the table.
So what is your husband doing to help you out with that?
Ask him.
I don't know. He's ignoring me. He's not even looking at me. He's looking at the floor. So what are you doing to help her?
That's a good question.
Who buys all those chips and all this stuff?
Her third visit brought a sliver of hope. Serita finally hit a significant milestone, enough to be considered for surgery. Her joy was contagious. It's these little wins that fuel the arduous journey. After a year with Dr. Now, she dropped 97 pounds, weighing in at 506 pounds. This wasn't just about numbers, it was a testament to her grit and determination. The surgery went well, and Serita's post-op progress was a beacon of hope. By the episode's end, she lost a total of 97 pounds. A hard-earned victory, proving her resilience.
One thing about me, I'm not shy of vegetables. I love vegetables, so I would have preferred more veggies than shrimp. Today I wrote a letter to my mom. I'm writing this letter to her because I feel like it plays a big part in my stress and why I eat a lot and why I eat so much. So it plays a big role in that, and I feel like it's gonna help me let it go.
John's story started like many others, with a seemingly unending cycle of overeating and emotional turmoil. John's weight gain was rooted in a troubled childhood. He grew up in a chaotic household where food was the only constant comfort. By the time he was a teenager, John was already tipping the scales at over 300 pounds. Emotional eating became his coping mechanism for dealing with family issues and low self-esteem. Can you imagine carrying the weight of your past, both literally and figuratively? It's like lugging around an emotional backpack filled with bricks.
I'm gonna get ready for work. In our day-to-day life, I do a lot of things taking care of John because he can't do the simple things for himself. It's a lot, but it is worth it to me because I love John and I would do anything.
His family played a pivotal role, both positively and negatively. John's mother, though well-intentioned, enabled his eating habits, often cooking large, calorie-laden meals to show her love. Meanwhile, his father's harsh words only drove John deeper into his food addiction. The emotional seesaw was brutal. But hey, family dynamics are a complicated beast. We all know someone who shows love in the most counterproductive ways.
My life is nothing like I thought it would be. And every day, it seems like things get worse and worse for me because I just keep getting bigger and bigger. And I feel like my life's at an all-time low. My body makes me feel less than human, so I try to avoid mirrors at all costs. I feel like if I ignore the weight, I can just pretend like my weight's not getting that out of control.
The turning point for John came when he realized he couldn't perform basic tasks without help. Bathing, walking, even breathing had become monumental challenges. That's when he and Lonnie decided to visit Dr. Now, hoping for a miracle. Walking into Dr. Now's office, John was a bundle of nerves and hope. You could almost feel the tension through the screen. Would this be their salvation or just another dead end?
This should fit you really good. I'm freaking out.
I'm freaking out too.
There's just too much damn weight to lose. And gonna get yelled at. And I'm doing everything. I haven't cheated. I mean...
I'm afraid I'm not gonna hit it, but...
Oh, that looks real nice. Put this on. You gotta put it on. You're gonna look fun. It's gonna be like a Hawaiian party.
John weighed in at a staggering 687 pounds. Dr. Now's first meeting with John was, to put it mildly, a reality check. Dr. Now highlighted the dangers of John's current path: heart disease, diabetes, early death. You know, the usual bedtime stories for the morbidly obese. Dr. Now emphasized the psychology associated with food addiction as much as the gastric sleeve surgery his patients receive. He advised John to start with a strict 1,200-calorie diet. It was like asking a marathon runner to start with a sprint. But hey, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Me and John are at Dr. Now's for a follow-up and to find out what the future holds from the scale. Because either we've hit our goals and we get approved for weight loss surgery, or we fail and we won't get the help we need. Dr. Now gave us the big goal of losing 80 pounds over 2 months.
John's progress after the first visit was disheartening. He struggled to follow the diet, often slipping back into old habits. It was as if his taste buds were on a mission to sabotage his life. John's progress was painfully slow. Dr. Now's patience was wearing thin. He questioned John's commitment and pointed out the glaring truth. Without serious dedication, surgery was off the table. It was a wake-up call, but one that John seemed to keep hitting snooze on.
How much is that total? 88, 98, 108?
From the very beginning?
Yeah, I think from the very beginning. I think that's 108. I'm really excited about how well I did. And this time, I know Dr. Now will be too.
At the last appointment, I was at 619. So if I lost the 60 pounds that Dr. Now wanted.
Finally, after months of struggle, John was approved for the surgery. It was a bittersweet moment. He had barely met the minimum requirements, and it was clear this was a last-ditch effort. The surgery itself was a success, but the real challenge was just beginning. By the end of the episode, John had lost an impressive 294 pounds, bringing his weight down to 393 pounds. This was no small feat, yet it was just a fraction of the journey he needed to undertake.
And we'll just start communicating better.
And y'all don't ever be afraid to tell me something. Let's don't let this grow. Let's let it go out and be healthy. We all need it.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
I'm so proud of you guys, but I've got to get back home.
All right.
Chris, hailing from a small town in Texas, starts his episode by recounting how his weight spiraled out of control. Imagine a diet of multiple large pizzas in one sitting, endless bags of chips, and gallons of soda. It's like watching a food horror movie. If you're thinking, how can one person consume so much? You're not alone. It's a hard reality to swallow, no pun intended. Chris's story is a stark reminder of how emotional trauma can manifest in our bodies. Food became his shield, but also his prison.
Everything is limited now. And every day it gets worse, and eventually I'm not going to be able to get up out of bed.
Chris decided enough was enough and sought out DR. Now. Can we take a moment to appreciate the guts it takes to admit you need help and then do it on national TV? At their first meeting, Dr. Now was blunt, as always. He didn't sugarcoat the reality. Chris was killing himself with food. He laid down the law with a strict diet plan, emphasizing lean proteins and vegetables and cutting out the junk. Sounds simple, right? But for someone like Chris, it's like asking us to live without our smartphones. Imagine the horror.
Not having to have somebody else take your trash out for you it's pretty nice. So it's just those things you don't really think of until you can't do it anymore. It's something I can definitely do now.
So, Chris's first weigh-in was, to put it mildly, pathetic. He tipped the scales at 620 pounds. Watching that number flash on the screen was a gut punch. But hey, we've all been there, stepping on a scale and bracing ourselves for the worst. Dr. Now's advice was clear. Stick to the plan or face dire consequences. No more excuses, no more enabling. It was time for tough love. Dr. Now explained that his goal is to help patients build a healthy lifestyle in the long term, which sometimes includes surgical intervention. It's like he's saying, get your act together or else.
I'm also doing really well with my diet. I read Dr. Now's book and all the papers he gave me, and I feel like I've learned the ins and outs of his 1,200 calorie a day diet.
Eat the lettuce.
But I've added some bigger steps onto it for me, because every 5 days I'm fasting for 5 days. I didn't eat anything in that time.
Now, Chris had a strong motivation to change. His daughter, Zooey. He wanted to be more mobile and spend quality time with her. This desire pushed him to stick to Dr. Now's program. Progress was slow, painfully slow. Chris had lost some weight at his second visit, but not nearly enough. Dr. Now questioned Chris's commitment and hinted that perhaps Chris wasn't taking things seriously. Chris defended himself, but deep down, he knew he wasn't giving it his all. It's like when you half-heartedly follow a New Year's resolution knowing you could do better. Chris had to confront his demons head on.
Financially, it was the stupidest move we've ever made. But honestly, it was probably the best move we could have all made ever.
Well, okay, well, that's good. You have been sticking with diet and losing weight. But the question is, how long are you going to be able to maintain that on your own? As long as you do, I don't have any problem for you to keep doing what you're doing. But I thought the only reason you want to do my program was that you needed to like weight loss surgery.
So here we are, Chris slowly, but surely making progress. Over time, he managed to low-see over 250 pounds, dropping to 364 pounds by the end of his episode. Remarkably, Chris did this on his own without opting for weight loss surgery, even though it was approved for him. He felt surgery was a great option for some, but wanted to see if he could manage his weight independently. This decision was a testament to his determination and commitment. I mean, how many of us can say we'd make the same choice?
All right, your turn.
All right, there we go. It feels good to be hitting these goals, and now I want to see the same thing for my brother and my mom.
Works for me.
All right.
Your turn.
Now your turn.
It's really cool to be doing this as a family.
This is the last option for me and Lonnie because we tried everything else and we've only gotten bigger.
I just want to be a normal person.
What's your problem then? You're overeating.
Okay. This is probably my last chance.
Well, I agree with that.
Nico Martone's story starts the way many on this show do, with a grim realization that life has spiraled out of control. Nico, tipping the scales at over 430 pounds when he first started his weight loss journey, finds everyday activities a Herculean task. How did we get here at Nico? Well, like many, Nico's journey to obesity began in childhood. A difficult family dynamic and a lack of emotional support led Nico to find solace in food. And boy, did he find it. We're talking late-night binges, fast food marathons, and a fridge that's always full, but never enough.
Living with her off and on for 31 years now. So I guess it's normal for us getting on each other's nerves at this point. Hey, Ma.
Let me do that.
Yes.
I don't want you to make a mess, please.
My back's killing me yet. Hold on.
You're already sweating.
Yeah. I want to sit down for a moment.
I don't like when Gino stands up and he can't stand up, or he breathes heavy. I can't take it. I don't want to hear it. It makes me upset.
Now, Nico's eating habits are something straight out of a food horror movie. Breakfast isn't just a meal, it's an event. Imagine starting your day with a dozen donuts followed by a stack of pancakes drowning in syrup. And that's just to warm up. Lunch and dinner aren't any better. Fast food galore, with extra large fries, burgers with every possible add-on, and sodas that could fill a bathtub. It's almost as if Nico decided to eat his way through every item on a fast food menu.
It became something I needed in order to feel better emotionally. And by the time I was in the 4th grade, I was already 200 pounds. So after I got divorced, Mom ended up getting full custody of me and my sister. I did see my dad a little less. It was much different. The only constant was food. And by the time I was 13, I weighed almost 300 pounds. In high school, I also had problems too because I was getting much bigger at that time.
The decision to visit Dr. Now is a desperate cry for help. Nico's health is deteriorating rapidly, and he knows it's now or never. Enter Dr. Now, the no-nonsense, tough-love bariatric surgeon who has seen it all. Nico's first meeting with Dr. Now is, to put it mildly, a wake-up call. Dr. Now is brutally honest, pointing out that Nico's current path is a one-way ticket to an early grave. He doesn't sugarcoat it, pun intended. Nico's cavalier attitude does not sit well with Dr. Now, who emphasizes the situation's seriousness.
You want the tan bandana? I got it.
Yeah.
What do you need it for?
To wrap it around my head.
What? Whoa. A bandana now?
Yeah. You hungry?
Well.
I'm gonna make some eggs.
You want me to do it?
No, I can do it.
You sure?
You wanna just take everything out?
Yeah.
Today will be the 13th day that I've been on the Dr. Now's diet.
Dr. Now lays down the law, a strict diet plan aimed at cutting down the caloric intake to a manageable level. He advises Nico to ditch junk food and embrace vegetables, lean proteins, and a life without sugar highs and crashes. The goal is to lose a significant amount of weight before even considering surgery. And here's where things get interesting.
It's really good. I know it's really good. I made it.
Stop tooting your own horn because you haven't cooked in weeks.
When you start paying me $25 an hour, I'll cook.
Who paid you $25 an hour? You lost your damn mind.
That's what the chefs get. What do you want me to do?
Progress, or the lack thereof, is the game's name for Nico. At his second visit, the scale barely moves. Nico, in typical fashion, has excuses lined up. Stress, family drama, the dog ate his salad. Anything but taking responsibility. Dr. Now isn't having it. He gives Nico another chance, but with a stern warning, shape up or ship out. Nico's cousin and family rally behind him, urging him to take Dr. Now's advice seriously.
Looks nice and fresh. All right, I got enough here to make a salad. Go heavy on the veggies and light on the meat. That's how we're gonna get to the promised land.
I'm gonna sit down for a moment while we the meat
Yeah,
rests.
take a break.
Oh.
Despite the roller coaster of failed attempts and broken promises, Nico finally manages to lose nearly 130 pounds, just enough to qualify for surgery. It's a miracle, really. Dr. Now performs the gastric bypass, and the real test begins: maintaining the weight loss. By the end of the episode, Nico has lost a total of 130 pounds. It's a victory, but a bittersweet one. The journey is far from over, and the struggle to keep the weight off is a daily battle.
How you doing today?
How are you today?
Good, good.
All right. So I see you lost 38 pounds, huh?
Yeah, worked hard this week.
What changes have you made with your eating habit?
We cut our eating down really low to 1,200 or less calories a day, and we increased our activity.
Lonnie Hambrick's journey on the show is a wild ride of baffling decisions, served with a side of greasy fries. Imagine growing up in a family where food isn't just comfort, it's the main event. Lonnie didn't stand a chance. I mean, who can resist a family feast? But when your idea of a snack is half a pizza followed by a gallon of ice cream, well, you're setting yourself up for some epic failure, right?
Nothing beats my first meal of the day. Because at that point, I've had to work so hard to start my day that I'm just looking forward to the satisfaction of the first bite. And I feel like nothing else matters when I'm eating. And I can forget about all the things I don't want to think about. Especially things of when I was growing up. Because that time was the hardest part of my life.
And then there was his estranged brother, John Hambrick. These two were another brother duo featured on the show. They came into the show estranged, their relationship frayed by years of mutual neglect and shared bad habits. Their reunion was dramatic and touching, adding a layer of complexity to their already challenging journey. Imagine the emotional roller coaster. Cue the dramatic music.
She married our stepdad, Kenneth. So now we had this new person who didn't like us all of a sudden taking care of us.
Our stepdad gave me all kinds of hell because I was always different.
When I was 15, my brother came out and said he was gay. And when I found out, I didn't really agree with it because
Lonnie's family, though well-meaning, couldn't say no to his demands. It's as if their love was measured in calories. His weight spiraled out of control, hitting a peak of 613 pounds where every day was a struggle. Basic tasks became Herculean efforts. That's when he decided to visit the infamous Dr. Now. You know things are dire when a trip to Houston to see Dr. Now becomes the last-ditch effort. It's like calling the fire department because your kitchen is already in flames.
Well, where's another day? Why dirty up another shirt?
I mean, I guess there's that. Well, I just feel like if we don't hit our goals, Dr. Now's going to scream and yell at us, and I'm going to be all disappointing. And I just feel like I'm going to cry and like get all upset in front of Dr. Now and get yelled at if I don't hit my goal.
We'll get there.
I definitely haven't cheated, so I know I haven't gained any weight, but
just keep working.
Lonnie's first meeting with Dr. Now was an eye-opener. Dr. Now laid down the law with his usual blend of tough love and brutal honesty. "Lonnie, you're eating yourself to death," he probably said. With that deadpan look of his, Dr. Now emphasized the psychology associated with food addiction as much as the gastric sleeve surgery his patients receive. He advised a strict diet and exercise regimen, basically stripping away all the comfort foods Lonnie clung to like a lifeline.
I lost more than Lonnie, so I'm happy about that. And it feels good to know I can do it. But I know me and Lonnie didn't get all the way to our goals, so I'm not sure what Dr. Now is going to tell us.
How did Lonnie take it? Let's just say, not well. Progress was slow, bordering on non-existent. His second visit to Dr. Now wasn't much better. There were excuses, justifications, and a whole lot of eye-rolling from Dr. Now. You could almost hear the collective groan of the audience. "Come on, Lonnie, get it together!" It's like watching a slow-motion train wreck. You just can't look away.
Because you both still have a lot of work ahead to get to your target weight. And John, you have more to lose, so you especially need to make sure that your weight loss doesn't slow anymore. You've done good. You lost 170 pounds, but I would be comparing with him, we should be like 130 pound weight loss. Okay. So you're doing good, but there is room for improvement.
Then came the third visit. Make or break time. Miraculously, Lonnie managed to shed some pounds, though not without stumbling. Dr. Now, in his infinite patience, which, let's be real, seemed to be wearing thin, agreed to proceed with the surgery. But it was a nail-biter. You could see Dr. Now mentally calculating whether Lonnie was ready for the next step, or if he'd be another cautionary tale. I mean, the suspense was real.
Usually if it's healthy, it's not good.
I did get you some rolls, though, so...
Thank God I won't starve to death. Got better?
Oh, no, no salt either.
I miss the big meals that we used to do.
Well, now our life is different, so we can't do the big meals that we used to do. Food has always been there for me. And for the past month, I just haven't really wanted it.
Post-surgery, Lonnie did show some improvement. The brothers helped each other through their weight loss programs, starting with them admitting that their weight was keeping them from living the life they wanted. Lonnie lost a significant amount of weight by the end of the episode. Over the course of his 12-month journey, Lonnie lost 245 pounds, bringing his weight down to 368 pounds.
At my last appointment, I was down to 492, and Dr. Now expects me to lose at least 25 pounds a month. So that means I need to be at least 442 today. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm really glad. Me and Lonnie are both hitting our goals again. I know we're pushing ourselves to do everything we can to turn our lives around.
Stephanie Smith's journey is like a roller coaster ride through a funhouse of bad decisions. From the get-go, Stephanie's story hits you with slow motion shots of her struggling to get out of bed, setting the stage for a classic tale of overeating gone entirely off the rails. But seriously, how did she get to this point?
Blaine, Stephanie, wake up, baby. Morning. I live with just my kids, but my mom and step.
Imagine your childhood being rougher than a sandpaper handshake. Her parents' split was the first domino to fall. Even before they split, little Stephanie found comfort in food while tagging along with her dad on his ice cream truck route. After her father passed away, things spiraled further out of control. Her mom struggled to make ends meet and was eventually deemed unfit, leading to Stephanie being placed in foster care. Can you blame her for turning to food? It's like her coping mechanism was set on autopilot.
Stephanie has 3 brothers, and so I met somebody, and I moved in with this guy. Found out he was an alcoholic that liked to abuse. I had no support whatsoever. And then so I called my husband, Stephanie's dad, and said I needed help. And he said, if you can get out of there and get back to California, I'll help you.
Stephanie's eating habits would put a sumo wrestler to shame. We're talking about breakfast buffets of pancakes, bacon, eggs, and everything in between. Her lunch was a fast food extravaganza. Burgers, fries, milkshakes. Dinner? Think Thanksgiving every night, complete with dessert. And snacks? Anything edible was fair game. It's mind-boggling, right? But that's where she found herself, lost in a sea of calories.
Constantly thinking about food. I love just how delicious it tastes, how happy it makes me feel, how like it melts away my thoughts. Brings me to life when I eat. It makes me forget about the bad parts at that moment, just for that little bit of time.
So, naturally, this leads to the inevitable trip to Houston to meet Dr. Now, the weight loss guru. At the start, Stephanie weighs in at a staggering 6'11 pounds. Her first meeting with Dr. Now is a real eye-opener. He doesn't sugarcoat it. Stephanie, if you keep eating like this, you're going to die. Harsh? Maybe, but totally necessary. He's like the tough love coach we all need sometimes. He tells her to cut down to 1,200 calories a day. That's like going from a Ferrari's gas guzzler to running on fumes. Can you imagine the shock?
Just whatever I can get, I guess. I mean, for dinner, I'd have a big plate of spaghetti.
From the time you wake up, what time you wake up?
I wake up usually at 8 every morning with my kids.
Okay. So what do you eat at that time?
I eat with my kids usually. I'll have just a bunch of eggs and sausage, sometimes pancakes.
From there, you'd hope Stephanie would take this advice and run with it. But no, her progress is slower than molasses in winter. At her next visit, she's only dropped to 602 pounds. Dr. Now gives her that look. You know the one, are you serious right now? She comes up with excuses. It's hard, Dr. Now. Well, duh, Stephanie, no one said it was going to be easy. But you can almost feel Dr. Now's frustration through the screen.
Now.
Sometimes I want more, and I'm like, just give it to me. But then I got people that tell me no. Martin tells me no all the time now. So I have to get used to it.
So, garlic and a scale?
Right now, I exercise at least twice a day.
So, where does this all lead? With the stakes so high, you'd think Stephanie would double down, but instead, she throws in the towel. She quits Dr. Now's program after making minimal progress, deciding she'll try to lose weight on her own. Yeah, right. We've seen this story before, and it rarely ends well. Fans are divided over Dr. Now's tough love approach, but can you blame him for being frustrated? Stephanie's lack of progress was just infuriating.
For the last few months, I haven't heard from Stephanie. She seemed to block me, so I am unable to call her. She missed the appointment that we set up at a local clinic, so she likely didn't lose any more weight. So at this point, there is nothing more we can do for her. I think the reality is that Stephanie never intended to do what she needed.
You won't believe the roller coaster of emotions we went through with Patrick Macon's story on the show. Raised in a household where love and food were practically synonyms, Patrick found comfort in eating from a young age. His parents, bless their hearts, kept the pantry stocked with junk food and family meals that were fried, greasy, and sugary. Patrick was tipping the scales at an alarming weight by his teenage years, setting the stage for his dramatic appearance on the show. And believe me, folks, this journey is one for the books.
Didn't have enough sleep. Had a long day yesterday.
When I wake up and see daylight, I'm surprised to still be alive.
Because my weight is killing me. When I first wake up, I pretty much dread it every day. I dread the first time I get up out of the bed, putting my weight on my legs. I'm in pain.
Patrick hit the scales at a jaw-dropping 657 pounds when he decided to seek help from Dr. Now. Patrick's eating habits was nothing short of outrageous. Picture this. Breakfast was a feast of pancakes dripping in syrup, a mountain of bacon, and dozens scrambled eggs. Lunch was a fast food frenzy, and dinner? No pizza was safe around him. Snacks? They were his constant companion. Imagine if he applied the same energy to exercising. I mean, come on, Patrick, we're rooting for you here.
He got sick and they had to wind up reversing it.
Then around the time I was 8, my dad had a series of heart attacks, so he retired early and our family moved to Marion County, Georgia. My dad's health declined and he wasn't able to do so much, and that caused problems in his marriage, because even though he and my mom were happy, she wound up going off with another man closer to her own age.
When Patrick first met Dr. Now, it was quite the spectacle. Dr. Now, with his signature deadpan delivery, laid down the law. Patrick, you're eating yourself to death. You need to lose 130 pounds in 3 months. Patrick nodded, but you could almost see the gears turning in his head. And they weren't about salads and treadmills. It was more like he was planning his next meal. Dr. Now's advice was simple. Cut out the junk food, move a bit, and for heaven's sake, stop raiding the fridge at midnight.
Mobility's got a lot better. I'm moving around a lot better.
Go for a walk.
I mean, my legs and my knees still hurt, but I'm not getting out of breath like I was. It gives me an incentive to keep going. And I have something to prove, and it's to prove that I can do this. Thank you, babe.
You're welcome. You good?
Yep.
You ready for walks with us, Daisy? Come here.
Dr. Now gave Patrick 2 more months to lose 100 pounds. But instead, Patrick managed to gain 25 pounds. Can you believe it? The good doctor, keeping his cool, told Patrick he shouldn't keep making the 11-hour trip from Columbus, Georgia, to Houston, Texas, unless he was serious about changing. Consequently, Dr. Now sent Patrick to a local clinic to monitor his weight loss more closely. After another 2 months, Patrick lost 51 pounds, bringing him down to 591 pounds. Finally, some progress.
Well, what?
We have answers for you, but you're not following those. And now you were coming in defensive, and it's our fault that we're not doing anything for you?
No, I didn't say it.
So what's your problem then? We're giving you the instruction, and you blaming us that we're not doing anything
I'm not
for
blaming
that?
for you. I never said you wasn't doing anything.
So, well, you're diabetes because you're overeating.
Despite the setbacks, Patrick showed enough improvement to warrant a move to Houston with his wife Amanda for closer monitoring. This move was pivotal because it meant he finally qualified for the gastric sleeve operation. By the end of the episode, Patrick weighed 531 pounds, having lost a total of 126 pounds. It was a tough journey filled with UPS and downs, but Patrick's story is a testament to persistence and the human spirit.
We're going to attempt to perform a gastric sleeve on Patrick today, but we're going to face a lot of obstacles because of his size and the fact that he had a previous hernia surgery.
I love you. I'll see you on the other side. I love you.
I love y'all. See ya. We're gonna make it fast.
We did test on him and determined that his operation was possible, but